Hi there, welcome. This is Diane, one of 5 awesome optimists. I was inspired today by Mr. Hollick's Monday post, and I wanted to just make a little comment about that. He talked about how do you move on? How do you close one door and open up another one? And this week's been a real interesting week because it's been, high school graduations everywhere, and I live really near a high school, not just any high school, my high school. And I reflected on what that was like the day that I graduated. And I have my senior year book out there with the risk of maybe giving away my age. But I was listening to the practices, that morning and then that night, and then when it was all over, the fireworks were going, and as it began that night, I could hear the da 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 da. That pomp and circumstance music that's just always is played at graduations. It's just interesting. And was thinking about where those students are. They're ending something and then they're beginning something. And if you have gone way beyond high school, you realize that at the time you thought that was the end of something, but in reality it was just the beginning. And so I want to kind of elaborate just a little bit on that, and how, because for me this is a 25-year anniversary for that, and I've been connecting with all kinds of former classmates on Facebook, and that has been so amazing to see what 25 years does in people's lives. And some people look exactly the same, and some people I would never even recognize. And I left a little comment on Mr. Hollick's thing about this little quote that I heard. Actually, it wasn't a quote, it was just a concept about in your car, your windshield is at least 50 times bigger than your rear view mirror. And that is a constant reminder that yes, sometimes we need to look back, but most of the time we need to look forward. Looking back gives us an interesting perspective in hindsight, one that hopefully allows us to understand that all of the things that we have been through, that we didn't enjoy going through when we were going through them, now we can see with wisdom, with time, with hindsight, that we did learn, and that we grew more compassionate, and we became greater people because of that very thing that we thought would perhaps destroy us or crush us. But really, what remains is your loving feelings and the learnings that you've learned. And I did a little bit of digging and I found some fun things here from grad night. It was only $10 to go to Disneyland. And we went, right after graduation. And I also had the unique privilege of giving a commencement address at my graduation. And for my fellow classmates who may be watching this, does anybody have that video? Because I know they were videoing it, but I never got a copy of that. So if any of you have a copy of that, I would love to see it. Wouldn't that be funny? And I was able to find my commencement address from so many years ago. And there's a couple of poems, and I marvel at my wisdom when I was only 17 years old. I graduated when I was barely 17 for 2 weeks, and I started college right away, and I had an interesting experience having pledged a service sorority my first quarter. I went to Cal Poly Pomona, and then we did service projects there's a state hospital called Lanterman, and the people there are just completely and utterly disabled. I mean, completely. They can't eat, they can't drink. They have little buckets and where they drool into them, and boy, talk about getting a new perspective of gratitude and being able to have your arms work and your legs work and everything else like that. Boy, that'll get you really quickly into a different frame of mind, as to not so much like, oh, why me, but wow, I'm grateful for what I have. And I wanted to share one little excerpt from my commencement address, which I shared a little poem. And this has to do with looking at things in a different way and what we are all about on this channel, about being optimistic. This is called "The World is Mine." Today upon a bus I saw a lovely maid with golden hair. I envied her, she seemed so gay, and I wished I were as fair. When suddenly she rose to leave, I saw her hobble down the aisle. She had one foot and wore a crutch, but as she passed, a smile. Oh God, forgive me when I whine. I have 2 feet, the world is mine. And then I stopped to buy some sweets. The lad who sold them had such charm. I talked with him, he said to me, "It's nice to talk with folks like you. You see," he said, "I'm blind. Oh God, forgive me when I whine. I have 2 eyes, the world is mine." Then, walking down the street, I saw a child with eyes of blue. He stood and watched the others play. It seemed he knew not what to do. I stopped for a moment, and then I said, "Why don't you join the others, dear?" He looked ahead without a word, and then I knew. He could not hear. Oh God, forgive me when I whine. I have 2 ears, the world is mine. With feet to take me where I go, with eyes to see the sunset's glow, with ears to hear what I would know. Oh God, forgive me when I complain. I have a healthy body and healthy brain, and oh God, forgive me when I whine. I'm blessed indeed, the world is mine. So hopefully that gives you a nice little inspirational message today to do a little bit of reflecting on the amazing changes that do happen. I mean, and to be grateful for them, and to be grateful for everything that you do currently enjoy. We just take so much for granted, and you think, oh, things can't get worse. But they can. They always can get worse. So it's best to just enjoy where we are at the moment, live in that moment, and constantly strive to better our lives, better our people, better our experience with people, and just continue to look forward and to find a reason to be grateful and find a reason to smile. And when you do that, you will realize that your world, your little world, will be so much brighter. And it's, who is to say what is actual reality? I was talking with my friend yesterday or the day before, about here we are on this planet, this world, and as many people as there are on the planet, that's as many worlds as there are, because I have my little world and you have your little world, and your friends have their little world, and your family, they all have their little world, and the people at your work. And so we're walking around with all these worlds in one world, and every once in a while we collide, and sometimes we mesh, and sometimes we bump, and sometimes we never ever cross paths with another world. But it is an amazing thing to be able to take what we do have and to share it, so that part of our world can become a part of somebody else's world in a very, very good way. So look back when it's necessary to give a sense of gratitude for all of the learning, all of the compassion, all of the growth that has happened. I have another little picture I want to share with you and say, wow, look what's happened in 25 years. This is my mother and my daughter, and I was about where she is now, and in the future I'll be where she is. And so 25 years, a lot can happen, and the only thing that is constant is change. And it's our choice of what we remember and what we savor from those experiences, which I hope is all of the loving and wonderful and happy feelings. So thank you so much for watching. I'm Diane, one of 5 awesome optimists.